What if getting AI right isn't about tools but taste? Have we confused volume with value in marketing data? How do you build a marketing system that's fast and thoughtful, where AI does the grunt work and you stay in the driver's seat? Hey everyone, Jake Sanders, host of What Gets Measured, the NinjaCat podcast about marketing performance, management, metrics, and effectiveness, because what gets measured gets managed. Today we're sitting down with Jessica Graeser, VP of Marketing at NinjaCat, to ask a question every marketer is wrestling with. Is AI here to replace us or amplify us? Jessica's take is sharp and informed from deep experience. She's a delight to work with, and this conversation is so important, and I'm thrilled we got to chat. Let's get to it. Jessica Graeser is the VP of Marketing at NinjaCat, where she turns strategy into revenue for fast-growing B2B SaaS companies. With 15 plus years of experience, she's built marketing engines from scratch, connecting brand to pipeline through demand gen, ABM, and sharp storytelling. She works where tech, data, and creativity overlap, and she's using AI to create better customer experiences. Today, she's here to talk about how marketing leaders can get their arms around data. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Really fun to be here on the other side of the microphone.
Absolutely. You have heard this, you've edited these podcasts, you've helped me build this from scratch, just like you've done with these marketing engines. So let's get this first question started. Why is 2025 such a pivotal year for NinjaCat and the marketing technology space overall? Go, Jess.
Yeah, well, we're in the Wild West era, it feels like all over again. I
Right.
mean, seems like everything is AI,
Right.
obviously. I think at NinjaCat, what's been super exciting to be a part of is how we are really leading on the bleeding edge of a lot of the things that are happening in the Martech space.
Right.
You know, having the advantage of 10 years as a business building on marketing data models and foundations. It's just been cool to be part of a product team that had the vision to say, you know, we can take these LLMs and embed this with the data to make something that's actually useful for marketers. And so yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing at NinjaCat, but I think that also just at the to be a marketer in this moment
Yeah.
is exciting and wild because a lot of the things that you used to think you needed contractors,
Mm.
extra team members, all these things to do, like you're starting to see the promise of being able to do it with a smaller and scrappier team.
Mm.
And that really appeals to me because I've been a startup scrappy marketer for most of my career. So being able to do more with the same resources or have the idea and take it to execution is exciting.
Here's a question. Was like you mentioned something about, your previous experience of building these engines and then working with all these contracts and vendors. Do you feel like the AI, the presence of like, this technology and its assistive, capabilities, do you find yourself like you have a knee-jerk reaction to maybe hire a specialist, but now because the automation is here or the tech is here, are you second guessing those things? Are you like, do you feel like your old reflexes of we can find people and now you can say, how can we use tech to solve the issues? Talk about, do you feel that there's like a difference here, or am I talking, what do you think?
I think that it is a spectrum of capability because I think that there are some use cases that almost every marketer is probably using right now related to, you know, content generation or ideation
Mhm.
that with the right prompts, of course, you can get pretty far.
Right.
But I think there are other things where if you aren't exactly sure what to ask, you're still not getting the right
Hey
output.
now.
So I think that having that layer of expertise
Mm.
is still important. So having specialists who can help you either develop an agent or a GPT that is specialized, because I think the specialist concept
Mm.
is really important.
Mm.
I think that, yeah, you can't just necessarily outsource it. You need still somebody to be able to understand your intended output.
Mm. So,
Does that make
yes,
sense?
that absolutely makes sense. And I think there's a little bit of that. Well, now we can just whip it up, but you have to know what you want to whip up. And I think we used to rely on maybe some specialized experts, but now we're able to have those skills, but you still need to know how to ask the right questions. I love that.
Well, I forget where I heard this.
It
It
has to
stuck
be
with
true. If it was on the internet.
no, you might have even been the person that sent this to me
Oh,
at some point, but it was something about like, AI can make you if you were average at a task or you're not expert at a task, AI can make you average at that. But if you are expert at something, AI can, make you excellent or
right,
something to that
right,
effect.
right.
Do you remember where we heard this?
It sounds so familiar. I hear so many things. I never know what's true.
But that idea, I guess that really has rung true to me
Right.
because, I'm pretty expert in
All right.
marketing, and I do feel like it's helping me, go to the next level of like certain tasks. But if I were to be something like, help me fix my car or something, I'm not a mechanic. I don't even know what to ask, It's like, it could probably give me some really bad advice or like average advice, and
Right.
ultimately, my car's probably still broken. So,
Well, so this pivots really good into this next question because I think you have a great sense of, is this true? Like me and Jess work together, the cat's out the bag, but you have a great sense of assessing what's valuable about data. And when we share a lot of analytics and we look at dashboards and we're sharing spreadsheets and all these things, but that you have a great skill of, turning strategy into the pipeline, into some revenue active, good stuff. But you have a sense of how you get your arms around the data, like we were talking about. Why do you think, or what do you think is so hard for marketing leaders to, like, are their arms short? What getting their arms around data? What are the problems that
well,
people are
there's just so
facing?
much of
It's
it.
just
For
too
one thing, it's
big.
like it's just too much. Yeah, you'd have to have some very long arms. But yeah, I mean, there's the proliferation, and then it's across, like, it's in your social platforms, it's in your ad platforms, it's in your data warehouse, it's in your
It's
spreadsheets, it's in your
scary when
Google.
you put it like that, Jess. You're like, where else is it? Everywhere.
It's a lot of places. And then, it's also which things are you looking at? So, I mean, I think that with experience over many years
Mm.
of
Mm-hmm.
doing it helps you to hone in on what is important. So when a new, you know, vanity metric, if you will, like pops up, it's like, well, is that signal? Is that
Mm.
noise? And how can you ultimately work backwards from the KPI that's going to matter to your boss, your stakeholder, to the business? And so to your point, it's like, for me in B2B marketing, that's, pipeline or revenue
Right.
generation. Easier said than done. You can't just say, well, LinkedIn direct line to pipeline or revenue, not necessarily. So you've kind of got to have the purview of all the various channels you're running, campaigns, and have that end goal in mind before, you know, you just run into run into any campaign or program. So I think that that's how I approach it. I
Right.
was kind of thinking with the end goal, and I try to, rally our team to think about that too, because I think it's important just to we've always got ideas, as we say, we do not lack creative ideas or campaign ideas or things we could be doing. But at the end of the day, we have to really be mindful of our time and resources. And so the more you can tailor your programs to meet those end goals, sounds obvious,
What?
but I think that you gotta like have a discerning, you have to have that editor's mindset
Mm.
to your activities, especially in startup.
It's editor. Speak a little bit more. Okay. Well, it's okay. Speak a little bit because I want to take a tangent really quick because you are really, really excellent at writing. You're just skilled at editing. What, how do you bring an editing mind to the AI interface? Because this next question is about people, they want to adopt AI, but they're feeling overwhelmed. But you just mentioned something that I think is a skill that is like way empowering when you know how to use it right with AI editing. Speak as an editor and a technologist really quick. Do you see some kind of alignment there?
Oh yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about like the 80/20, like AI can maybe get you 80%, if you're lucky, get you
Yeah, that's
80% of the
nice.
way there.
Yeah, right.
You like when you're talking pure like copywriting.
Right.
But I think where we are seeing the best results is when you use more AI as that collaborator, that ideation
Hmm.
component, not as like your, you know, your copywriter. You still need, copywriting skills
Right.
to, but it for me solves that problem of the blank page,
Oh
it's
yeah.
always getting started that's the hardest. And so yeah, you have something to respond to, but even when you've got custom GPTs or agents that are tuned into a style, tone of voice, like understand your audience, and all of those things are important components
Hmm.
to build into your agentic
Right.
solutions. It's still, maybe not going to be entirely there when it comes to writing. You've got to have the human in the loop when it comes to
But
content.
so how do you stay in the loop? How do you stay focused? How do you keep an editor's eye on these things? And also, because we were talking about data, sometimes I'll bring some chart to you, and or so I'll bring some factoid, and I'll be like, "This is really interesting," and I can see you editing not only on the page but in interfacing with people and editing while you're thinking about math and what's important and in your spreadsheets and stuff. So I just maybe I'm overstepping or I'm describing something or ask Jake GPT what he thinks about me. But don't I feel like you have that discerning eye? Where do you get that from? It isn't just related to the KPIs. It isn't just related to the goal. Like you care. Well, why? Why do you bring that editing skill to all of this?
Because I guess that I've seen that that's what works. I mean, I think that you can throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and spray and pray, whatever
You're
you
talking
want to
about
call
me. I'm
it.
the master of spaghetti. I'm the Mario of that. It's
But I think that from experience and time, I see that what will be most effective is, taking that moment, that pause before just running to think critically about what we're putting out, or is this the right path to be marching on before we begin marching down that path.
so
So
true.
yeah, I would say that just it maybe is either part of my personal nature, or I just think it does come from experience
Right.
of like knowing that we'll save a lot of time and we'll be more effective if we can press pause, talk it over, workshop it, if you will, write it down, think about it, go on.
So on that pause button, maybe that might line up with your advice on, folks that want to start adopting AI and implementing it. They're overwhelmed, they're stuck in pilot mode. Is the pause that advice, or is the subject expertise that advice, or what would you tell these people?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting, it's like two sides of the coin, right?
Mm,
Because also you don't get to like pause forever. You've got to like iterate, right?
right.
Launch and iterate. That's the saying,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So you still have to like get something out there to start playing around with. I mean, if we had waited for the perfect like GPT or perfect agent to like start using it, we wouldn't be where we are
Right.
today. But I think that yeah, it's a balancing act. It's like you gotta do a little bit of both. You can't just like because it can be overwhelming. I mean, we're getting, ideas about prompt engineering and like the courses you can take
Mm-hmm.
and like everything. You could be, you've got to be a sponge, but like you also have to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just put it
I
together
know.
and
Well,
keep
but
moving.
you're great. I think you have a great blend of aesthetic skill, also just sort of a financial minded, like bottom line, approach, but also experimentation. Like you have all those things in balance. So I think people should just know, Jess, she's not only talking this talk, she walking the walk. But let's wrap up one question and then we have to get to our flash round. But so I want to talk, just give us a little where AI has helped you personally in your workflow. You talked about generative AI and the copy, but how has it helped us reduce the noise and get to the impact?
Well, I think it's helped align our team. I mean, I think that, knowing, helping us again, you have to kind of slow down to speed up.
Mm.
Like we took that time to think about like the style, the tone,
Hmm.
the personas, all of that stuff. Like we had it sort of maybe like not as like formally written down, but
Mm.
like having those inputs and like having our team all make sure we're working off of those same things has helped align us
Right.
in all the things we're doing. So yeah, did that answer it?
I think that answered it. But you know what it made me think of is before maybe you had your style guidelines in a copy PDF or whatever, and it just died somewhere in a drive file. What's interesting about a GPT, if you share that interface, and we have the same training on the things that we're using to outline ideas and collaborate and all this, but I think what's interesting is that you get to start generating more ideas of what your guidelines are in principle, but in action, because you would have to wait for somebody to interpret the style guidelines and then have them write something, and you'd be like, nee, you know, don't you
That's a
think?
great point. It became like more living documents as they should be. I'm thinking specifically of like persona documentation,
That's a
like
good one.
product marketer in me from many years ago would say like here, we've produced these personas and they like live in a deck or on a PDF and then it becomes like sales enablement. But now like we're updating our personas based on live like gong call recordings
Yes.
like every few weeks really, and we've got more granular personas because we need them to be the basis of our content and in a loop, I guess, in a cyclical way that like I feel like I hadn't before,
No.
and it becomes easier but it also becomes then more effective. So it's a very virtuous cycle if you will.
If you're on the right bicycle. And I think if you have that discernment, you have subject expertise, leaning on experts that have, domain information that you might not, they might have those questions, and then getting your arm around the right data, aligning it to a KPI. It's just so good. So for real, this has been amazing. How can people get in contact with you, Jess?
LinkedIn. I've been up on LinkedIn for a while now, so yeah, find me there. That's my social of choice. And then of course, NinjaCat, our website, you can always come there, get a demo. We'd love to show you what we're making.
Cheese or chocolate?
It's a binary game. I'm going to ask you two things. You're going to have to choose one. It's a game called Cheese or Chocolate. Are you ready?
Yes, I've been waiting for this moment.
Oh, cheese or chocolate.
Chocolate.
So wait, have you been waiting and you already have the answers for that one? Did
You
you?
know what? For that one,
Did you?
I haven't looked at them.
Oh,
I didn't. I would always pick chocolate over cheese. It's just true.
it is weird. It's like weird, funky cheese versus chocolate. Let's not even think. Okay.
And it's a hard one because,
Is
I'd also like love to live in France and then you'd be eating both.
I think the French are just like whatever. They're like just
Or
come.
like both.
Yeah. Come visit us, Jess. Okay. Oddly foodly related again. Ice cream or gelato?
Gelato, pistachio gelato
Specific.
in Italy,
Oh,
obviously.
a geographic type.
In Rome, specifically.
Okay, all right, don't peel it back a little bit. Now we know that you're too fancy. That's good. I'm glad you had that. I would like to have that too. Okay, here's one: city or countryside?
I guess I'm gonna have to say city.
Well, why don't default? Is
Like
that just
looking at my
because that's where
footprints.
you are right
Right.
now?
And that's what they choose. I mean, I grew up in the countryside and I choose to live in the city. So
Okay,
city.
okay, City Mouse. This is a question: music, indie, or pop?
Indie.
What was I even?
That surprise you?
What was I even thinking? Now you know something about jazz. Okay, two more. Strategy or execution?
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm.
I like the strategy. I like the execution. I don't know.
Well,
Oh
now.
boy. I'll be the strategy you can execute.
Oh no. That means I have to walk out on the plank. That's what that means. I came up with the idea in the plank. Go walk out on it. I think you're right, but you're good at both. Hard one. Okay, you're right. There was no right answer. Okay, finally, and this is deep. Truth or beauty?
Beauty.
I don't know why. You didn't want truth?
No. What is truth?
Oh gosh, here she goes. What is beauty then? Shall we?
Eye of the beholder.
Ah, so right. And you know what? That's the truth. Oh,